Welcome to Positive Waves. My name is Matthew Collinson, and this is my great friend.
I'm Joseph Soma.
Today, I wanted to make a quick announcement before we get started on the episode. On December 8th, we are going to be running an Eckhart Tolle meditation and discussion group that we have people just come together and then we meditate on Eckhart Tolle for about 15-20 minutes, and then we have a full discussion about what kind of came to us as we were listening to those recordings. So it'll be a really fun time. We figure it'll be a great way to end the year, and that'll be some great positive waves that we can send out before we start head into 2023 on a strong note.
Looking forward to it. I know you've shared some Eckhart Tolle quotes, and I think I've started listening to one of his books recently, and yeah, really interested to see what material you pull up to meditate on and see how it hits.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I have a subscription to his YouTube channel just because I wanted to support him because I really enjoy his teaching. So it'll be fun to dive into a couple of those videos, I feel, and then just break them apart, see what people feel, see what people think, and see how they might use it in their future.
Right. Beautiful. Sounds like a blast, man. When is that? That's starting December 8th, right?
Yeah, 5 p.m. PST time, so 8 p.m. EST.
Cool. Perfect. So what are we going to talk about today there, sir?
That is the question of the day, and I feel like I want to have you draw a card, and then we go from there.
That's what I was thinking. I was messing around with some ideas earlier today, and I was thinking, well, if we don't have a topic today, let's see what the Rebel deck wants to pull. So just before I Zoom or hit the link for Zoom with you, 2 cards came up, and it's kind of funny because they're like polar opposites, or at least I feel they are. So the one card reads, "You are giving too many fucks." So do we want to talk about giving too much? But then again, there's also fucking apologize. Should we talk about the importance of giving that apology and working through what's going on and recognizing what role you played in?
I think both topics are pretty important, to be honest with you, because I think there's a balance to everything. Like, I think there's 2 sides to every coin. You need to humble yourself out a bit and be like, I'm sorry for my piece of this, if necessary. But I think you also should care about everything around you. So sometimes I care too much too.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely picking the balance. Which side are you going to lean towards, or are you going to try and hold neutral? Because I know something like that, it's difficult to hold neutral when you want to assist so many, but not everybody's ready. So it's like you can't force them. So now are you apologizing for trying to push them beyond their comfort zone?
Yes and no. I feel like we're all in this experience and we all bounce off of each other and come into each other's world at the perfect moment. And I do think that as you do that, you grow together in some way, shape, or form, good or bad, positive or negative, effective or ineffective, whatever you want to call it. It's just a balance. Like, it's so hard. Like, I feel like we all get out of balance all the time. Like, it's a constant, shift, like the airplane analogy where they have to constantly reorient the plane. Otherwise, you would never make it to your destination.
Right. We should go back to the episode where we talked about the phases of the moon, because lately they've definitely been pulling everybody all sorts of different ways. But yeah, finding balance is definitely important. But how would you choose to find balance with giving too many fucks, with caring too much?
I think that's the piece where we have to go to like Lao Tzu would say, do nothing, leave nothing undone. Sometimes the experience is this just there for that person to have to experience that feeling at the time. So it's like, who am I to say what growth you should be doing or what you should be doing kind of thing. So then it's like, all right, well, maybe I shouldn't say anything in this case and then just let the universe play its hand.
Right? And that's kind of where I sit. I more or less feel that intuitional guide. Like, do I share this or do I keep it to myself? You know, you never know. And like you said, sometimes you just got to know that, hey, this is what universe is telling me to share. I'm meant to share this. I got to say whatever is needed. And that could be exactly what that person needed. And being in your brain, you could have been thinking, oh, this is going to be horrible. This is going to crush them. And then you say whatever. And it's like, wow, they're excited. That was perfect. They loved it. They needed it, or whatever, comes pouring out of their mouth.
I think it's a growth thing too. I think that we have to like practice those things. Like I still struggle with getting sucked down those holes that make me want to be like portray that negative side. And I know I don't want that, but I know it does happen from time to time. So that I think that's part of the resetting period though. And that's what we were just talking about in another group that I'm a part of. And that resetting period is so important for us because we have to absorb things, number one. We have to give our brain time to kind of mess
Process.
with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
process. And once it's processed, then it needs to make decisions as to how it wants to be. Now, the question is, are you asking yourself, what version do you really want to be living? Or are you asking yourself that same old cycle question? So I think questions are another important piece of that reset period.
Right. As you said something too that brought up the whole idea of tools and knowing when to ask yourself those important questions to reset. Because I know there was a time where I just fully lived the emotion. I didn't feel it and release it. I continued holding it, continued carrying it, and so yeah, having the tools to know is so beneficial as well. Damn, gotta love how all this shit just wraps all together.
It does, man. Everything touches. This one time I masterminded on a book called "It All Matters," and it's about how everything matters. I mean, it's very important for us to realize that we're every time we touch somebody else's life, every time we make another decision, it has an effect. And if
Right?
we realize that effect and become aware of that effect, what effect do you want to be having? That's where the do you want to be kind or do you want to be right comes into play sometimes.
Right? It, I'm pulling out a book real quick because one of the books I'm reading in one of the groups I'm working in is A Course in Miracles. And
Oh,
in the
beautiful.
back, in the back, there is a workbook for students. There is 365 lessons you can start one by one, day by day. And the very first lesson is recognizing that things don't mean anything. Like it gives examples. This table does not mean anything. This chair does not mean anything. This hand does not mean anything. This foot does not mean anything. This pen does not mean anything. And it goes on and describes more, but everything's connected. But at the same time, this one is saying it doesn't mean anything.
It does. We give it the meaning.
Right,
That's
right,
where the creation piece comes into play for us as humans. That's what I'm digging so much right now is like is starting to recognize those patterns that get us there and then making it happen because everything's a pattern. No matter what your vision or thought is or goal is or whatever is going on in your mind, there's a way to get to that best case scenario. Now, what the solution is, who knows all the way. You'll be guided to it, I feel. But you have to have the path or choose a path.
and that goes back to our episode on choices. You got to make the choice. What do you want? do you want to go this way or do you want to go that way? Or, however many different choices you have to pick from.
Yeah. And then you have to be consistent with that.
Mhm.
We get distracted so easily as people.
The shiny squirrel syndrome. Yeah. I know many that struggle with it, but sometimes it's good because that's your intuition pulling you. Oh, I need to go that way for a second and check this out. There's some people that being late, no big deal for them because they're living in the moment. They're living in the now. They had that shiny object syndrome and they had to go run off and check something out, and who knows what occurred or what they were guided to do in that process. So it's like it's a struggle to choose. And half the time it's just go into the heart and decide, do I follow that or do I continue on this path?
And who are we to say what that experience is supposed to be? That's where, well, that's table. You got to give it the meaning.
Right? Right?
Looks like something triggered in you.
No, just thinking, because I mean, I'm just sitting here looking at my computer table, literally, and I'm using it. It's useful. I need it. If not, I would not have something to have my computer on and all of the stuff around me, But at the same time, following the lessons of the book, it's recognizing that it doesn't mean anything.
Mm.
And it almost makes me think, is it in this realm, in this physical realm we're in, it has meaning, but when we exit this physical body, it no longer has a meaning, or is it throughout? Does it not have a meaning?
I think all experiences that up. I think what helps a person to stay on the kind of path, though, is to be very firm in what it is that they're going after. Like they have to know, like you have to keep visualizing that the entire time. And if you hesitate or stop, it'll like reset certain things. And then you'll probably start repeating patterns again.
Right, right.
It's
And
just the way
that's
it is.
and that's for everybody listening in. I still got to do a better job reading and interpreting the lessons. So if you got some advice or want to fill me in on something, please do let me know. Throw something in the comments because yeah, this is definitely an interesting read, and comprehending some of this workbook is it's one of those painful pleasures. It hurts so much, but once it dawns on you, it's like, oh damn, that's awesome.
That's how I feel about the whole Eckhart Tolle thing. Is like every time I go back to read or listen to one of his, I get a new piece of new nugget, something new, which is why you always go back to repeat
Right?
books and other things and
Think and
knowledge.
Think and Grow Rich is the same way.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely. I mean, creating the good habits, right? We could be doing much worse things with our time.
I feel that way. That's why I like do these things. Like I do, I don't even know how many people I meet around the world at this point, but I meet a lot of people around the world. And it's really fun to do because you get so many perspectives. And when you get that many perspectives in on any given subject, you learn so much. And then you get to decide what you want to do with that. How do you want to create yours? What does that mean to you?
Right?
Like I
And
always love the question, like if like money's no object, nothing is an object, like you get to do exactly what you want to do. Are you doing that?
5 years ago, no. Today, fucking A. But that's because I worked my ass off to realize what I wanted. I made the choices to seek a different path than what I was on, and I did quite a bit of that work on self to get to a place to love and accept myself enough to realize what I truly want, to shift through all that programming that's shoved down our throats, you know, through growing up and all that. So, yeah, I can definitely say I'm there now, doing exactly what I love and continuing to dive deeper into it.
It's beautiful though. That's a good way to feel. And I bet you have a lot more smiles, a lot more joy in your life since then too.
Oh, for sure. That's part of following your passion. I know we've talked about that in the past as well. I mean, when you do what you love and love what you do, it's not work at all. It's enjoyment. when you're working that dead end job that you hate every day, it sucks the life out of you. But when you're doing what you love, it fills you with the energy. It fills you with that joy, excitement. You don't want to stop doing what you're doing. I mean, like I threw out yesterday doing intuitive card reads just to get some practice. It's something I've been working on, but I figured I'd work with strangers, see, what would happen. And thank you. I know you popped in, and a few others did as well. And thank you if you guys are watching, gals too. But yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, let me just see what I can do and go from there. And it worked out fairly well. And it got to the point where I had to stop myself. I had to say, all right, it's getting late. I need to stop because I did have to be up pretty early in the morning, and I didn't want to stop though. I had a few other people come in wanting readings, and I had to put them off and wait till this morning and do them then. But doing what you love, it's not work. It's not work at all. It's so much fun. It's so much enjoyment. So
It's a
continue,
blast, man. I love
continue.
hearing that.
Right? Well, I mean, you're the dream creator. Well, I mean, you're Collison Creations, but part of that is the dream creator, and it's literally what I did. I mean, when I fell, physically unable, the disability crap started kicking in. I had to make the choice. I couldn't do physical labor no more. What can I do? What are my options? And I weighed my choices. I made my decision, and I followed it, and I've stuck true to that path for probably a solid 10 years now. And I couldn't be happier with where I am. And I know I can be happier because I know I'm still healing traumas that come up, and I'm still finding more ways to love the world I live in and throw that positive wave around. So, yeah.
So I'm so glad we met, man. It's crazy how, like, I didn't know Joe a year ago, maybe a little more than that now. Has it been a
A
little
year
longer?
and a half, I
Year
think.
and a half now.
Year
Wow.
and a half we met.
Man, time goes by quick. Uh, which I love and I don't love because I want it to slow down. But it's like if you put yourself out there, if you begin to learn to meet new people, if you begin to really create that idea that you want, like you firmed up your vision, you knew what you kind of wanted in life as opposed to what you didn't want anymore in life. And you were like, all right, how do I do that now? And then you started
Well,
going out to
part of
seek.
it part of it was I don't want that, but I don't know what's different. So it was figuring out the opposite of where I was and just going that direction. And that's one thing I loved about Noble Goldman is they had such a diversity of teachers and knowledge and wisdom. I just hung out, 18 calls a week. I think I was doing so that's 18 hours a week on Zoom, just learning all the different things out there and finding what fit, finding what warmed my heart. And it's worth it. It's worth the time. Take that time. If it takes you a year, fine. If it takes you 5 years, whatever. It's better than not taking the time to find you at all.
Yeah. When I first started diving into personal development, I always heard the story. You just keep going at it. You just keep reading. You just keep doing the process, and eventually it starts to stick.
Right.
Some people start faster than others. It just depends on where you are and how you learn and what you do and how much effort you put in.
Well,
I
it's
was,
knowing how you learn as well. If you know how you learn, you can learn much quicker.
yeah. There's a lot of ways to learn about yourself to help you become more efficient as a human. That's for sure. I know right now I'm working on bird types, so that's kind of a fun one too. It's hilarious, man. I love like helping people understand these things though, because when you start to understand yourself, then you start to create the vision that you want to create. Because if you don't understand yourself at all, it's going to be very hard to know where you want to go.
Right. It's like not being in alignment. Once you're in alignment with who you are and what you want, you just speak it and it practically drops in your lap. I mean, you got to put the effort in. You got to, have that drive. You can't just sit on the couch and say, I want $1 million and expect it to just, poof in your bank account. You still got to put in the work.
I truly believe that. I really do. I think that we definitely make it harder than we have to. I think we need to be more consistent with those efforts. I really wish we would have been taught this in school when I was like in just growing in general, like any part of school.
Kindergarten, preschool, didn't matter. It would have been great just to have the knowledge, even if I wasn't ready for it at that time. It still would have been sitting in the back of the brain, waiting to be used, waiting for that first tragic moment instead of going through so many tragedies and not knowing how to process them.
Mm-hmm. Part of growth, man. Like there's so many different kinds of scenarios that we find painful as humans. I mean, it can be anything from a loss of a job, like breakups, death obviously is a huge one.
Hmm.
Like there are so many like versions of that.
Yep.
Question is, do you want to repeat that cycle or do you want to grow from the cycle? You can grow, it's possible, but you have to put the effort in. And that's another one of my phrases I absolutely love is the whole you get what you put in.
Hmm.
You do. Like,
Literally. You don't study, you're not going to learn. You're not going to learn. You're probably not going to pass the course unless you're just lucky. It's like the breathwork course I'm in right now. If I don't do my work, I'm not going to learn the techniques. If I don't learn the material, I'm not going to be able to explain how this is working, throughout the body, what it's doing to you at a cellular level. So I can just go in and learn how to do breath work and breathe, but what good am I if someone asks me, hey, so how is this helping me? What is this doing for me? You know? So soon enough I will be able to talk about all of it, but not at this moment. But it's all
uh,
learning. It's all
it
learning,
is.
having the patience, knowing how you learn, and making that choice to put the time aside to study the course.
So on the apologize piece, I just had an idea on that part.
Yeah,
When do we make it priority to apologize to ourselves for being so hard on ourselves?
that's some standing in front of the mirror and looking yourself in the eye and having that good old fashioned self talk. I don't know how many people know about that, but it's something that I learned about years ago, and it does help. And yeah, you do have to find forgiveness for yourself, apologize to yourself. You went through a lot of shit. Why not? Why not find that forgiveness for yourself? Allow that unconditional love to grow and expand, when you do so.
I agree. I think that again, it all comes back to being two-sided though. Like you just have to recognize that you can. If you feel one way, you can feel the other way. It's a natural
Hmm.
progression. Like the law of rhythm, essentially, everything goes back and forth, right? No matter what, there's always a trend. There's always a wave going on.
Yep. Yep. It's like we described, the life is a roller coaster. You have your ups, you have your downs.
And
It's
without either one, you can't feel the other.
right. And you can't be grateful for the other. You know, through tough times we learn, through good times, we express that gratitude because we know what it's like to be at our worst, and we're so grateful when we're at our best.
Yeah,
The trick is finding gratitude when you're at your worst. I know I recently posted something on Facebook about what if we said thank you after every experience. Still practicing it, still working on it, but so far just feeling the vibration flowing throughout the body every time. Thank you for that light staying green. Thank you for that vehicle not hitting me. Thank you for that beautiful sunset. Thank you for the way the sun came through the tree. Like just anything, everything. Thank you for that song playing on the radio. Thank you for that lovely thought, whatever. But changing your vibration, shifting your mindset, it definitely is a consistent work in progress. But when you're trying to create a much better world for yourself, it's worth it.
agreed. Speaking of that sun coming through the trees. I actually just took a picture of that this morning. That's really funny. I'll post it in our Facebook group if you want. I'll also put that in the YouTube description for you, so you can head over there and check out that picture of the sunrise. Because after I walked my daughter to school, and it was nice,
Awesome.
beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah, I love those nice sunrises and sunsets.
Hmm.
Just wish sometimes my phone would grasp all the color, and it doesn't do justice, but there's some great images.
I feel like that is so true, man. I wish my phone would do better. Actually, my next thing I want to do is a drone for sure, because I would love to do like
Yeah.
drone flying and then like meditation videos or something through the trees, or I'm sure I could think of something else, but
Right. I mean, even if it's just going up and catching the sunrise as it's touching the horizon, but you're 400 or 500 feet up in the air, and then you're lowering the drone as the sun's coming up. So you're just constantly holding
ooh,
that glow of the sun. Well, whatever colors may shift and change. Yeah, that'd be cool.
that would be cool.
I've thought about getting the drone, so be beautiful.
Well, thank you for joining us today on Positive Waves. I appreciate you guys. And thank you for subscribing and watching us today. And share this with anybody you think could use giving too many fucks and fucking apologizing
Yep.
to yourself and to others and to everything else.
Right. So the two cards, we'll just read them again for everybody. The first was, you are giving too many fucks, give 0. And the other, fucking apologize. Seriously, just do it. So thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. And as Matthew said, please like and subscribe and share with your friends.